welcome to your all-active Reserve and Veterans TV series. This information education show has three goals: tell who military veterans are, share about all organizations, auxiliaries, their programs and officers at all levels, and tell about memorials in all the cities we serve in this network. The VA system, state and county officers, hospitals and state homes are also featured. Please do check out our websites. Share your program ideas and concerns via the contact information on the show. We open each month's show with a patriotic theme. Thank you for inviting us into your homes once again for Vets Visits on TV. This is my co-host.
I'm Brad Lindsay, Olmsted County Veteran Services.
And I'm Jerry Barnhart, the founder, producer of the program, and we're so happy that you joined us once again for this program of information and education. We've got some neat things coming up and know that you're going to want to stick around. First of all, we give credit to the 451st Army Band for supplying us with our patriotic opening, which was used for this month with the national anthem. Now on to the dates in history. January 1st, 1989, the Department of Veterans Affairs began operating at the cabinet level with support from all veterans groups. The third Monday is a national holiday as Martin Luther King Day is celebrated. Of course, he was a great speaker for Black Americans. The 17th, the Persian Gulf War began, and the 17th of January was the signing of the Vietnam Peace Accord in 1973. 33 years ago, the accord was signed, and Vietnam remains a communist government. January of 2000, a program was begun to help the youth of that very poor country and poor areas of Vietnam to provide humanitarian aid and education, especially. Our first feature brings together these refugees that are sitting around a table trying to work on a plan for helping their children back in Vietnam. They moved from Vietnam as refugees to Rochester, Minnesota, and these high school youth and military veterans are sharing for the youth of Vietnam. Here are some completed projects, and we'll hear of more in part one of Veterans Who Help Heal a Broken Nation.
My name is Valerie Goodmanson, and I am an American history teacher at John Marshall, and I teach the history portion of a class that's team taught. It's called American Studies, and it partners American history and American literature. And our focus with the class is exploring not only American culture and history, but also exploring what it means to be an American citizen and a citizen of the world.
And as a citizen of the world, how did you and your youth get involved in the D.O.V.E. project?
We've been very fortunate for the last 5 or 6 years. Gary Gullickson, a local Vietnam vet, has been coming to our classes. And during the study of the Vietnam era and the Vietnam War, he's come in and given our students an amazing firsthand account of the realities of war, what you would never read about in a textbook, really. And each year the students help through book sales to help him raise money for local VA hospitals. And this year he asked, did he think our students would be involved in helping actually build a school in Vietnam? And I said, I don't know, you'd have to ask the kids. And there was never a question from the minute From the minute he asked, the students were on board, and in 3 months' time have raised $8,000.
Now, what is the population of John Marshall School?
John Marshall has about 1,600 students.
And of those, about how many are directly involved in this?
We have, in our class this year, there were 86 students. And of those 86, because this was over the summer months, there were probably 25 that were very actively involved in the fundraising, about 10 or 12 that were incredibly involved and sacrificed a lot of time over their summer vacation to pull this all together.
Children will go to school. One shift will go from 7 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock, and another shift will go from 12 o'clock to 5 o'clock. The reason for that, they don't have enough schools, and that's the only way they can have all the children get their education, because they don't have enough schools, and that's the reason we build the schools. They were using a granary as their school, and so we built a new school. It was in one village, and so all the students from 5 villages had to go to that village. Sometimes I will go speak to groups, and sometimes there's veterans like all of us, like Earl and Gary and I, older veterans who have some hard feelings about the war. We don't, but they do. Why are you building a school in a communist country? The schools, what they teach in the schools, clearly the new Vietnamese government sees its future with the United States and not with China.
As a combat Marine, I felt personally responsible for destroying your country, and so this is a way of helping me, I feel, to help heal your country as well as myself. I'm sorry.
Yeah, my name is John Borman. I served with the United States Marine Corps in Vietnam. I spent 2 tours there in 1966 and 1967. I'm also proud to say that I'm an honorary board member of the D.O.V.E. Fund. D.O.V.E. stands for Development of Vietnam Endeavors. And the D.O.V.E. Fund was founded on Veterans Day in 1999 by Vietnam veterans and Rotarians who wanted to go back to Vietnam and do humanitarian work. I live here, I'm a lawyer in Winona, and I am working with the students here at John Marshall as their liaison between the D.O.V.E. Fund in Toledo, which is, by the way, based in Toledo, Ohio, and the John Marshall students here in Rochester. And I'll be working with Gary Gullickson. Gary and I were together in Vietnam, and we're working together with the students and their teachers to do this project.
And a dove is symbolic for peace in the Christian faith.
Indeed it is. Indeed, that's the reason for the
symbol.
symbol.
Peace project.
Absolutely. The whole purpose, the mission of the D.O.V.E. Fund is to go back to Vietnam and to do humanitarian work in the spirit of reconciliation. And that's the reason for the symbol. That's the reason for the name of the organization.
Okay, we'll pass the mic to this next gentleman, and you are?
My name is Nam Phan. I'm a Vietnamese refugee who come to this country since 1975. And I am also a U.S. Army serviceman in 1983 to 88. Yeah, and I'm also work as a case manager here in New Hope program to help with refugee to deal with their mental health. So when I see this program, I think they're very exciting me, because I feel like, this is something that very good opportunity for me and the Vietnamese community here have a chance to hand in hand with the student here in Rochester to get this program successful. So that's what my goal, and I'm willing to be happy to provide any resource or anything to help this program successful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we meet these two gentlemen, let's note that America is a land of melting pot, and we're proud of that tradition. So you gentlemen are?
Là nguyên là cựu sĩ quan cảnh sát ở miền Nam Việt Nam.
My name is Son Hong. I live in Binh Dinh, Central Vietnam. I was a police officer in the South Vietnamese government.
Sau thời gian 7 năm ở trong trại tù tập trung cải tạo tôi được chính phủ Mỹ cho qua định cư tại Mỹ trong cái chương trình HO. Hiện tại thì tôi được hưởng nghỉ hưu trí và sinh hoạt trong cái nhóm những người già của thành phố Rochester.
I was in prison 7 years, and after that I was a refugee and came to this country due to a humanitarian program from this government, and then I live in Rochester and joined to the Vietnamese group activity in here, and then I'm glad to know this program and glad to know you.
Thank you. And your official position here in Rochester, Minnesota is?
My name is Ricky. I am the case manager for the mental health service with the Zumbro Valley Mental Health Center. Myself, I was a refugee in the Philippine camp. I was a POW more than 7 years in the North Vietnam after the fall of Saigon. I came here. It's not too young, but I still get enough energy to help my own people, my own community to adjust their new life, to know, to learn, and then every appreciate to know the D.O.V.E fund program. We appreciate the young generation. They know how to work and they know how to think.
And sir, now we have the D.O.V.E program introduced to the Vietnam community, and then who has been the general local person that has been involved? The general local person kind of representing D.O.V.E.
Gary Election.
Okay, and then he made contact with a high school?
In the past, Gary already come to the group 2 times, and then we know Gary, and then we do have some kind of work with the soldier field, veteran soldier field in Rochester, and then our program, we believe that we will have more further contact with Gary due to this project.
Now, these young ladies that are next to you, let's meet them and see how they are involved.
I'm Susan Haskamp. I will be an 11th grader at John Marshall High School this coming fall. And back in May, Gary Gullickson came to our school and he talked about his experiences in Vietnam and like what it was like. And at the end, he held up a picture of a school and he said, "I want to build this school. Will you help me?" You know, in Vietnam. And eagerly we were all like, well, yeah. So basically all summer we've been trying to raise money. We've had car washes selling buttons and just going out to the community and trying to raise money for this school. And it's really important to me because I think every child deserves a good education. And the schools there it's not a good environment to live, just the stories I've heard. And the education we get here compared to there, it's really sad. So
you are behind this program, this D.O.V.E program, to raise funds so that the program can go through in Vietnam.
Right.
And what are some of the programs that you're working to raise funds?
Well, we're trying to, for a nursery school, our goal is $9,000, which will build the school, provide playground equipment, uniforms, school supplies, everything the kids need to get a great education.
Thank you. And who's your fellow partner here from John Marshall?
My name is Lynn Bowie. I'm an 11th grader at John Marshall. My parents experienced what these guys have experienced. They've gone through the whole war. They've been refugees. They've, sacrificed their life to come here for a better life. And I think it's really important for other people to understand how freedom is not free. You have to work for it. And, Gary came to our school teaching us about, the war and how he has this idea of building a school. And we all thought it was a good idea because in our American Studies class, we learned about the value of freedom and how education is really important and that other countries are not as fortunate as us. And so we feel as if us being, American students, we have the opportunity to give to a country where they don't have the opportunity because of, their government or things such as that. And we think it's really important to give back to other people.
So you were born here in the United States?
Yes.
And all of this was kind of strange to you, I suppose, except for memories that your parents passed on to you.
Yeah. Pretty
And
much.
now, with your help and with the help of everyone else here in this room and those who were here before, we wish you all the best of success in this project of building schools through the D.O.V.E program.
An American Legion district officer, Glenn Mueller from St. Charles, Minnesota, phoned Jerry about a symbolic service project of a lady who really cares for veterans. We go to the home of Helen Graydon in southeast Minnesota. She ships boxes of lap and shoulder robes to the VA hospital.
And this is the lady who is doing it. Mrs. Helen Graydon, how are you this afternoon?
Fine.
Thank you for inviting us to your home here in Altura, Minnesota. A town of what size is it? About
400.
400.
Yeah.
But this project is all about veterans, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Now, your husband was a veteran, right?
Yes.
And what happened after he died recently? You were looking for a project,
I
weren't
was
you?
looking for something to do.
Yeah.
I just had to
Keep those hands
keep
out.
busy.
Keep those hands out of mischief, right?
Yep, that's right.
And how did you come upon the idea of knitting these lap robes?
It's crocheting.
Oh, crocheting. Oh, pardon me. I'm not an artist like you.
I'm sorry, but
You are no. We'll go with that. With crocheting. And how did you come upon this project?
well, I had a sister-in-law she died right after my husband did, and she crocheted for veterans. And I thought, well, she found time to do it, so. And I had yarn around here, and I wanted to do something that would make them happy and comfortable. So I went at it. I think Glenn got me some patterns, and my brother got me some patterns too.
And we'll meet Glenn, who's an officer in a nearby American Legion post, in a few minutes. But when did you begin crocheting?
When I was in 5th grade, I learned it from my grandma.
And that was some 70, 80 years ago?
Let's see. 60. Oh, 70 years, put it.
And then you have been knitting, crocheting ever since.
Yes.
What kinds of things have you crocheted?
I've crocheted lots of Afghans. And I've crocheted cowboy boots for all my a lot of my nieces and nephews and things like that. They like.
That's wonderful. And so you decided that crocheting these lap robes would be the perfect project. And let's meet the gentleman who has been transporting these lap robes to where?
I'll be transporting him to Minneapolis, VA.
And that should be this afternoon, shouldn't it?
Well, yes.
You have several big boxes of items ready to go. There's about how many in each box?
I believe she said that it ranges anywhere from 7 to 10 in a box.
And this has been a wonderful project to have your mind set on doing something to look forward to every day, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It passed a lot of time at those cold days when I couldn't get outside or anything.
Sure. Now, who is your gopher?
My daughter, Bonnie.
Well, Bonnie, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And where do all these, where does the material come from to do this project?
Well, I kind of like garage selling, so every once in a while I'd go to some garage sales, and if I'd see a box of yarn, I'd make an offer on it and tell them what my mom was going to use the yarn for, and I would go bring it home, and then we'd kind of sort out colors and to see which colors would go together and brighten the hearts of some of the vets.
You mentioned earlier about getting the colors that would be cheerful and
bright.
Go together very nicely. And here on the table you have some that will soon be folded up to be taken up to the Minneapolis Regional VA Center. But I see something else here. What are these?
These are foot warmers. And she made, I don't remember how many pairs, but she made some of these to send along up to the vets too. She thought that would help keep their feet warm.
Right, the Tootsies.
The Tootsies warm,
yeah,
that's right.
And how long do you intend to keep going at this project?
Oh, when the weather gets nasty, then I'll be starting in on something again.
You'll be it's a continual process, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When I got yarn, I'll do it, and when I can't buy yarn or get yarn anymore, I won't be doing it.
Then you won't be doing it. So if folks all around the Midwest would like to mail yarn to you, they're most welcome to do so, right? Or anywhere. Do you want to give a box number?
Post Office Box 75.
Box 75, Altura, Minnesota, and the zip is
55910.
Okay, folks, you keep that in mind, won't you? And Mr. Mueller, will you show us more detail on some of those beautiful crocheted items? Just hold them up there. Fantastic. Okay. And all of them are a little bit different, aren't they?
Third folding.
That they are.
Fantastic. How about this pretty blue one the microphone is sitting on? Okay. And the boxes of blankets are on their way to be loaded into the van for their trip to the Minneapolis Veterans Service.
Since this taping, Miss Graydon has entered a nursing home, but still crochets. For this month's Service Officers Report, I want to speak about a benefit for Minnesota veterans, a credit for military service in a combat zone. If you served in a combat zone or qualified hazardous duty area between September 11th, 2001 and December 31st of 2006, you may be eligible for a credit of $59 for each month that you served. To claim the credit, you'll need to complete Form M99, Credit for Military Service in a Combat Zone. You're eligible to receive the credit for military time served if you served in a combat zone or qualified hazardous duty area anytime, as I said, between September 11, 2001 and December 31st, 2006, and the pay you received qualifies to be excluded as combat pay from federal gross income under Internal Revenue Code Section 112, and your home of record during your months of service was Minnesota. The credit's equal to $59 for each month of service, and partial months are counted as full months. To apply for the credit, you will need to include the following documentation with your M99 form. National Guard, reservists, retired or discharged active duty members will need to attach a copy of your DD Form 214 for each period of service. Active duty members will need to attach a copy of your leave-in earnings statement for each month in qualifying status. Minnesota Department of Revenue started accepting application forms in December of '06, and credits will start to be issued now in January. For further information, you can visit the Minnesota Department of Revenue website, which is posted now on your screen, or call them at the number posted. And as always, you can also contact your local county veteran service officer for further assistance with the application.
Well, now, Brad, what if there are people living in other states that are becoming eligible? There are many veterans coming back. They might be able to find this through their Department of Revenue, is that right? Or should they work through their Veteran Service Office?
Exactly. If you don't have a Veteran Service Officers in your state, I'd definitely contact Department of Revenue directly.
There are, I think, in particular.
Most states.
Yes.
Most states, correct.
Okay. So we'll hope for the best and get them back into action.
Definitely.
Okay. Fine. Now, we want to make note of the fact that we've got this new means of communication. We put up on the screen every once in a while our www, and people can now reach us through the medium of YouTube on their internet, right?
Correct.
Now, we owe that all to Guy and the university staff here at Rochester University, and we are grateful that you have that opportunity of sharing that means of communication with those who do not have cable systems, especially. So if you'll make that known in your veterans organization, and maybe in the newspaper, or you would like to let others know as well, this would be super, because we'd like to get the word out that communication is the word for veterans, and why not use electronic communication, right?
Correct.
YouTube.com, that's all you need. And then switch into...
You just need to punch in a search for Vets Visits on TV once you're in the YouTube website, and it'll take you right to our show.
Super. Well, that's a wrap, as they say in the profession. Okay. So thank you for joining us today. And Brad, any final word?
Nothing I can think of, Jerry. Just have a safe month.
Right. Thank you again. And see you again next month. And next time on Vets Visits on TV. Thank you for joining us for this month's show. Seen in over 350 communities for over 3,500 half-hour periods. Our websites have additional information about the show and are updated bi-monthly. To contact us, you are welcome to use one of these electronic methods. For all ground mail with questions, suggestions for future programs, you may use this address. Our IRS nonprofit status is 501c3, Information Education. The Minnesota Commissioner of VA and these state-level organizations believe in and endorse Vets Visits. Join us next time, won't you, for Vets Visits on TV.